What's up, Dan the Man fans, and welcome back to the channel for the June 2025 Metacast video. That's right, I've been doing these videos for a year now, and I want to say thank you so much for the love and support you have been giving me with these Metacast videos. Anyway, as we know, on May 30th, Destined Rivals released, and as we know, on June 13th, it becomes legal just in time for the North American International Championships, the last big tournament to get those points for the World Championships in Anaheim in August. Guys, I'm excited and I hope you are. In this video, we're going to break down the top 10 decks of the format. This isn't just a tier list, it's a competitive roadmap. I've spent hours testing, metagaming, and prepping you for NAIC, so I'm giving you all the real breakdown, the key cards, the strategies, the matchups, and the techs that you need to succeed in this massive high-level tournament this month. Anyway, guys, as we know, Destined Rivals is going to be releasing real soon into the format, and there are three key cards that we need to talk about. They are Shaymin, which has like a bench barrier effect, and we've got Team Rocket's Watchtower, which stops all colourless Pokemon using their abilities, so watch out Noctowl. And then finally, we've got Marnie's Grimmsnarl, which lets you accelerate 5 dark energy once it evolves to any of Marnie's Pokemon, and then has a move that can do 180 damage and then snipe 30 to the bench. These three cards are going to feature heavily in this Metacast video, so keep an eye out for them. Anyway, without further ado, guys, let's crack on and look at number 10. Okay guys, in at number 10 we have got N's Zoroarch. Yes, you may be thinking, why is this deck coming in at number 10? Well, I'll tell you why, because it thrives on disruption and creative attacking. The core idea is to copy attacks from any N's Pokemon that are on your bench, most notably Damanatan's N-Star move, which lets you do 90 to the active and then snipes 90 to the bench. This has traditionally been a great counter to fragile setup decks like Gardevoir and Dragapult EX, allowing Zoroarch to punish support Pokemon like Kirlia or Noctowl before they become threats. But, and it's a big but, Shaymin from Destined Rivals is going to completely shift the bench sniping dynamic from this deck. Shaymin creates a bench barrier, denying that crucial 90 HP bench snipe to non-rulebox Pokemon. And with both Dragapult and Gardevoir lightly teching Shaymin into their decks, they will be able to block that bench damage to non-rulebox Pokemon. Zoroarch's main win condition is now heavily disrupted. So why is it still in the top 10, I hear you ask? Well, despite this hit, Zoroarch still has a strong matchup into Gardevoir thanks to its typing and the ability to pivot into different copied attacks, meaning it can remain flexible. Expect to see it tech in more Gust cards like Boss's Orders and Countercatcher, and potentially lean into Stadium Disruption to remove problematic blockers. It's not a safe pick anymore, but it's a smart one if you're expecting kind of Gardevoir EX to be a heavy deck and Gardevoir EX and you want to get some sniping in. It's got a high skill ceiling, but a high skill means high reward with every matchup going in to be a good one. Will it do well at NAIC? I do not know, only time will tell. I don't think it will feature much in day 2, and I don't think it's going to feature that much, but it still makes my top 10 because it's still a very good deck with a lot of versatility. Okay guys, let's go see what's in at number 9. Right, in at number 9 we've got Terabox, the classic all-type toolbox that's known for explosive turns and surprise techs. This deck used to dominate the early game by using the Wellsprung Ogerpon's Torrent Pump or Torrential Pump, which deals damage to the bench while spreading pressure across the board. Combine this with a strong attacker like Pikachu EX and Terabox EX, and you have a deck that can punish slow startups brutally. But Destined Rivals has not been kind to Terabox. First, Shaymin completely neutralizes Torrential Pump's bent damage to non-rulebox Pokemon, removing the powerful early game pressure. Then we have Team Rocket's Watchtower, which will remove the ability for Noctowl to be able to let you search for 2 trainers and disrupt the consistency within this deck. And when paired with hand control cards like Iono or Unfair Stamp, your game plan can collapse completely. Despite these hurdles though, Terabox still has outs. You can pivot into more direct attacking builds like Pikachu EX to trade aggressively with other EX attackers, and if you include Charizard EX in there, you are also doing Dark type Pokemon the world of good by going up against those Psychic Pokemon that are weak to Dark. Terabox EX is still very flexible, and this deck can run disruption tools like Iono and Judge, or even Spiritomb to mess with opposing setups. The deck's biggest strength is its versatility. It can be built to hit nearly any meta threat, but that comes at a cost of consistency. Going into NAIC, this is definitely a deck that could surprise people, but it's got a high skill ceiling, and not being able to grab those cards when you need them, thanks to Team Rocket's Watchtower, will hinder this deck and will stop some players from potentially playing this deck. Okay guys, let's go see what's in at number 8. In 8th place, we have got Joltik Box, which is probably the most deceptive deck on this list. It's fast, it's aggressive, and despite looking like a beginner's deck, it's built around some of the most powerful energy acceleration we've ever seen. The deck centers obviously on Joltik move to let you search for 2 lightning energy and 2 grass energy and attach them to any Pokemon that you like on your first turn if you go second. Obviously, this can fuel huge attackers like Pikachu EX and Iron Hands EX, and you can attack with these on your second turn. Iron Hands EX gives you the ability to take 2 prizes with its Amp You Very Much attack, which could be devastating, and if they play a Squawkabilly EX and you're able to potentially boss it up or get it into the active, they are going to be in trouble because they could give up 3 prizes on your second turn. Pikachu EX paired with Gravity Mountain lets you take 30 HP off those big Stage 2 EX Pokemon, meaning that for 300 damage you can take down those Pokemon and heavily disrupt them, meaning they will be on the back foot and you will be far in front. So why only number 8? The deck is extremely matchup dependent. It dominates Grimmsnarl Frostlass thanks to type advantage and speed, but folds hard to Raging Bolt, which outpaces it and applies pressure before Joltik can obviously stabilise. And obviously I've lost many times to Raging Bolt, which incredibly annoys me. I love this deck, but Raging Bolt is its gatekeeper, and that greatly upsets me. Heading into NAIC, Joltik Box is a great call if you expect a heavy control meta with lots of Frostlass or Gardevoir, but if Raging Bolt or aggressive basic decks take over, this list could get punished. It's a high roller deck with some serious potential, but also some serious risk. Will it make top 8? I don't know, but there'll be plenty of day 2s and plenty of techs, I'm sure, to make sure this deck is relevant going into the new format. Right guys, let's see what's in at number 7. Right, at number 7, we've got Flareon or Eevee Box, a highly customizable toolbox deck that rewards smart players with the matchup knowledge. The core of this list, it revolves around Flareon EX, a reliable attacker that can obviously accelerate energy with its first move and then do 280 damage with its second. The first clue is how this deck works. It's really all about variety and targeting weaknesses. You typically start with Sylveon EX, which acts as a consistency piece. Its ability lets you fetch evolution Pokemon, helping you chain your board into play. Then, depending on your meta read, you add in utility attackers like Leafeon EX, Umbreon EX, and even Vaporeon EX if you're feeling spicy. Leafeon EX is especially relevant right now. It one-shots Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX, hits Charizard EX for weakness, and even messes with Zen's Zoroarch. Plus, its ability heals 100 damage from each benched Pokemon, shutting down passive spread decks like Dragapult or Frostlass. You're likely running Crispin obviously to energy accelerate and power up your Pokemon like most toolbox dexes are. The Noctowl engine is essential for draw or to search for those trainers, which is exactly where this risk lies. Look out for Team Rocket's Watchtower, because that will completely disable Noctowl and will highly frustrate you. And if your opponent pairs it with Iono or Unfair Stamp, you could get stuck in a rut with a hand that doesn't do much. So why is it still in my top 10 and at number 7? Because in a long event like NAIC, a well-timed Flareon or a Sylveon EX with its a move that lets you shuffle two bench Pokemon back into the deck can absolutely ruin your opponent's day. It's not the fastest or most aggressive deck, but it's one of the most flexible, and with the right pilot, it can punish nearly any deck in the format. Okay guys, let's jump in to number 6. Okay guys, at number 6 we've got a spicy hybrid, Gholdengo Dragapult. This deck combines the ball pressure of Dragapult EX with the uncapped late game damage of Gholdengo EX. That's right, the result? A spread heavy, draw consistent powerhouse that punishes greedy setups and finishes with massive KOs. Let's break it down. Dragapult EX starts things off with Phantom Dive, 200 damage to the active and then 60 spread across the benched Pokemon. This helps soften the board while forcing awkward plays from your opponent. Meanwhile, you're setting up Gholdengo EX and it's got that brilliant draw ability to keep drawing Pokemon. Team that up with obviously Dragapult's evolution line with Dracoloak and you are drawing cards like it's going out of fashion. Obviously, it's Gholdengo's move lets you do 50 damage for each basic energy in your hand. So the more energy you discard, the more damage you will do. So this is an uncapped damage, which means you can knock out anything in the meta right now. Some variants include Ethan's Adventure line, like Quilava and Typhlosion, and so on, for additional draw and board thinning. Others rely more heavily on straightforward energy acceleration, like Energy Recycler, and obviously Super Rod and Super Energy. What's it called? Super Energy Retrieval to sustain your Gholdengo plays. Gholdengo Dragapult tends to have strong matchups into decks like Gardevoir and standard Dragapult variants thanks to early spread and superior late game reach. However, it struggles with Grimmsnarl Frostless due to its item lock and spread denial, and can also get outpaced by Raging Bolt. Overall, this is a solid tier 1.5 deck that could spike hard at NAIC in the hands of the correct player. And who knows, if you can sequence this correctly and get the Dragapults out early and then hit in the late game with the Gholdengos, you could easily get those 19 points for day 2. Okay guys, let's jump straight in to number 5. Okay guys, in at number 5, we've got Raging Bolt, the premier aggro basic deck of the format. If you want to hit hard, fast, and get all 3 of your best in 3 games played within 50 minutes, this is the deck for you. The early game is anchored by Tealmask Ogerpon, getting those grass energies accelerated onto them, getting you to draw an extra card is essential. This then sets up Raging Bolt EX, a massive attacker that can one-shot almost any Pokemon when your bench is fully loaded with energy. And because it's a dragon type, you're obviously got no weakness. You can put a tool card onto it to give it additional HP and give it that extra oomph. What separates this from other aggro decks is its engine. While decks like Terabox rely on Crispin and obviously other cards, Raging Bolt uses Professor Sada's Vitality, a card that not only attaches 2 basic energy from the deck but also draws you 3 cards. That added draw power gives this deck insane momentum and lets it play through disruptive hands and obviously lets you draw consistently. You can also run the Noctowl engine as well, which is what a lot of decks use, but unlike Flareon or Joltik Box, Raging Bolt doesn't need to sit on it. You establish your board and start swinging, usually with a combination of Pheasantipity EX, Tealmask Ogerpon, and Bolt itself. However, its biggest weakness is the new Shaymin. Raging Bolt sometimes relies on its baby version to snipe for cheap won prizes, and Shaymin blocks that. But here's the catch: Shaymin isn't searchable with Buddy Buddy Poffin. You need a Bull card or an Arven to be able to find it, and that can be annoying, so sometimes you can punish your opponent's bench. Raging Bolt is a fast, resilient, and hits hard into two of the most played decks, Grimmsnarl and Dragapult. It's best aggro option for players who want to dictate the pace of every match, and we'll definitely see a few of these decks in day 2 at NAIC. Okay guys, let's jump straight in to number 4. In at number 4, we've got Dragapult Charizard, a hybrid deck that combines spread pressure with late game finishing power. On paper, it's a strange mix, 2 stage 2 lines with very different goals, but in practice, they complement each other brilliantly. You open with Dragapult EX, Phantom Dive, like I said, 200 damage to the active, 60 spread, and you are hitting that bench hard, softening up all those Pokemon and getting ready to take a multi-prize turn. Then in the mid to late game, Charizard EX hits the board with Infernal Rain, accelerating energy all over the place, and then boom, you are smacking 180 damage plus 30 for each prize your opponent has taken. You can pair this with either Noctowl for fast draw or fast searching, or Pidgeot EX for consistency and always getting the cards that you need. The flexibility means you can adapt the list based on what you feel comfortable with. Dragapult Charizard has a great matchup into control and spread decks. It can overwhelm Frostless with board pressure, and Raging Bolt often can't deal with both threats at once because their HPs are ginormous and they need 5 to 6 energy to be able to take them down. While Japan's format needs the Psyduck promo to shut down the Dusknoir engine and make Dragapult variants even better, we don't have that card here in the English market yet, which means Dragapult Charizard stands out in the meta for having raw synergy without needing external disruption. It's not the easiest deck to pilot, but it scales well over a tournament, particularly strong into slower decks, flexible into aggressive ones, and while it's one of the few hybrids that actually makes both parts better. Right guys, are you ready for the top 3? I know I am. I'm super excited. Let's see what the top 3 is. Now, these top 3 decks could have gone into any order, but this is the order I've chosen them in. We're starting off with Marnie's Grimmsnarl with Frostless. Okay, this is a passive spread deck. It's a pressure-based, resource-denying nightmare for your opponent. The basic energy is familiar. Monkey Dory with Frostless, placing 20 to 30 spread damage between Pokemon checkup between turns. But now we've added Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX, a bulky stage 2 attacker that powers itself up through Secret Box and Spikemouth Stadium. Grimmsnarl synergizes perfectly. It uses dark energy so you don't have to alter your core. It also fixes the biggest issue with Frostless decks. It lacks a finisher, because obviously with Monkey Dory and Frostless you're just putting on spread damage, little bits of damage. This one now hits hard and you can obviously smash that big 180 damage into your opponent's active. The deck can also tech into Disruption, Item Lock, Hand Control, with the Watchtower also tools in the toolbox, and it's incredibly strong at forcing bad trades. Your opponent has to overcommit to KO your board, and that opens up their own vulnerabilities. It's also seen success in Japan, the Japanese Champions League, and I expect to see it in the high numbers at NAIC. If you're confident in grinding matchups and know how to manage your board state and your resources, this is the deck for you, and I wouldn't be surprised if there is at least one top 8 spot with Marnie's Grimmsnarl. Okay guys, let's look at number 2 and let's see what it is. At number 2, we have Dragapult Dusknoir, which I consider the cleanest answer to the current metagame. This deck is all about disruption through evolution control and brutal spread pressure. You're still running Dragapult EX for Phantom Dive, but instead of running a secondary attacker like Charizard, you now commit to a Dusclops Dusknoir engine. Dusknoir brings, obviously, that brilliant move that blows up and puts 13 damage counters onto one of your opponent's Pokemon, and obviously this can be devastating. This version is favourable into Gardevoir, Grimmsnarl and even Charizard variants, all which heavily rely on combo based setups and can be punished and will enable you to take multi-prize turns. One of the biggest upsides, Dragapult EX has no printed weakness, but there's almost no auto loss. And the consistency from Dragapult as well, Artisan and even Buddy Poffin means you usually hit your board and you are ready to go by turn 2. There's no Psyduck promo in the format yet. Obviously that Psyduck switches off abilities for Pokemon that knock themselves out, so Dusknoir is still high and mighty in this format, meaning that obviously it is still there to be used and abused. Okay guys, that is their Dragapult. It's not number 1 anymore. You've probably guessed what it is already. Number 1 is... yes, you guessed it. My number 1 deck for June 2025 is Gardevoir EX, the reigning queen of consistency, adaptability and sheer power. Gardevoir's ability, Psychic Embrace, obviously lets you accelerate psychic energies from the discard and then you put 20 damage onto that Pokemon. This fuels a range of attackers like Screamtail for board pressure, Drifloon for scaling attacks, and even Gardevoir EX herself when needed. Some lists go turbo with Rare Candy, others opt for a more TM evolution based setup, meaning that obviously you play that, you want to go second, you get TM evolution, you attach an energy and then you start evolving those rolls. But the big new piece is obviously Monkey Dory's Adrenabrain, which gives Gardevoir extra consistency, and the Mind Bend attack can obviously confuse your opponent while also hitting 60 damage as well, leaving your opponent in the mid game scratching their head as to whether to attack or not. You'll see variants at NAIC, some taking Shaymin to block snipes, either including Mimikyu or Cresselia for mirrors, but the core is always the same. You outlast, outresource and outmatch your opponent over the long game. Gardevoir is popular for a reason. It can be teched to beat almost anything, and when piloted well, it rarely folds. I expect this to be the most played deck and will have the most top 8 spots at NAIC. Right guys, that's my top 10. Let me know in the comments if you agree. Let's review. Okay guys, that wraps up the top 10 Pokemon TCG decks for June 2025, right before NAIC. Let me know in the comments what you're testing. What road decks are you thinking of taking to NAIC? If you're not attending, are you attending kind of any Pokemon tournaments at the moment? Are you attending a gym challenge? Are you attending a fun tournament, as June is when the locals go on their summer break? If you found, though, this breakdown helpful, please drop me a like and a subscribe. It means the world to me, and thank you very much for watching this video. We're in a high level meta and I can't wait for Destined Rivals to become tournament legal. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you next time, and may your opening hands always be playable. Guys, take care and I'll see you in the next video.